Rubbing his eyes, he wonders if his mind is playing tricks on him or if he is still caught in a dream. But the glowing, red-rimmed door floating in midair does not disappear. It remains suspended silently above his bed. Driven by disbelief, he sits up and climbs closer to inspect the strange phenomenon. He even peeks behind the frame only to find empty air. There is nothing supporting it and no hidden space behind it. It is simply a door to nowhere, defying gravity in the middle of the room. Thinking it might be some kind of elaborate magic trick, curiosity ultimately gets the better of him. The moment he turns the handle, the door does not just swing open. It practically pulls him forward. With a sudden yelp, he tumbles through the threshold, landing hard on a cold, dusty concrete floor. Pushing himself up, he looks back in sheer disbelief. Behind him, the open doorway still frames his bright, familiar hospital room. But in front of him lies a completely different reality, a narrow, decaying hallway, its walls heavily smeared with dark, unsettling stains. Shaken but driven by curiosity, he slowly stands up and takes a few tentative steps into the gloom. He calls out into the shadows, hoping for a rational explanation, but his voice only echoes back to him in the silence. Then, a sudden, sickening sound cuts through the quiet from the darkness ahead. Chaunch! Something is lurking just out of sight, and by the sound of it, it is in the middle of a meal. The chewing sounds stop, and from the deep shadows, a nightmare takes shape. Towering over him is a massive, blood-red skeletal beast, its hollow skull staring down at him with 3 glowing green eyes. The young man freezes, paralyzed with fear as the monster unleashes a deafening roar that rattles the entire corridor. Realizing he is completely out of his depth, his survival instinct kicks in. Does not think twice. He scrambles backward as fast as his limbs can carry him, offering a frantic, politely panicked, "Sorry to bother you, have a nice day." "Bye." He dives headfirst back through the floating door. He slams it shut behind him, tumbling back onto his hospital bed, his heart hammering against his ribs. Panting and terrified that the creature might break through, he looks up to find the air empty. The mysterious door has completely vanished, leaving him alone in the quiet room to process the bizarre near-death experience he just barely escaped. Just as he catches his breath, a strange, disembodied voice echoes directly inside his mind, congratulating him on awakening an ability called World Link. Spooked, he frantically looks around the empty hospital room. The voice tells him not to panic, explaining that it is communicating telepathically from another world. But the voice's next words are dead serious. If he wants to survive, he has to do exactly what it says. Following the telepathic instructions, he opens his backpack and pulls out a bizarre metallic skull statue. The voice identifies it as the cursed statue of Bait, the wicked ghost king. Someone deliberately hid it in his belongings to curse, kill him, and steal his soul. As the voice marvels at how he somehow survived the lethal curse, a sudden, overwhelming rush of foreign memories floods his brain. The shocking truth hits him all at once. He is a transmigrator. This body belongs to a middle school student named Shen Ye, and the original Shen Yi's soul has already been consumed by the curse, leaving him to pick up the pieces. The pieces of the puzzle finally fall into place. The original Shen Ye's soul was completely wiped out by the dark energy of the skull statue. The voice explains that when a soul-stealing curse of this magnitude fails to kill its target, it backfires spectacularly. Instead of destroying him, the failed curse grants the survivor all the raw power the artifact has accumulated over millions of years of stealing souls. Right on cue, the gold skull statue in his hand begins to fracture, dissolving into harmless dust. The telepathic voice commands him to summon the floating door once more. The terrifying gateway that almost got him eaten just moments ago is no longer a random threat. It is now bound to him, waiting for his command. Just as the voice commanded, the mysterious floating door manifests once again, in the middle of the room, hummed to life by Shen Ye's new World Link ability. But before he can wrap his head around the magic, the system throws him hilarious curveball. A glowing notification pops up, awarding him a physical title plaque, Polite Person. It turns out his panicked, polite retreat from the skeletal giant earlier actually paid off. This equipable passive skill means people will naturally have a slightly better impression of him whenever he's healing. The brief moment of comedy quickly evaporates, however, as the telepathic voice begins to weaken. It leaves him with a grim warning. Whoever planted the cursed skull statue will eventually realize their target is still breathing. But the voice only manages one final cryptic reply before slipping away, "Because I need you." Before fading completely, the voice drops a few more crucial details. Terrifying, blood-stained corridor he just escaped is a place known as the Nightmare Realm, and it is the exact dimension where this mysterious entity is currently imprisoned. The entity leaves Shen Ye with a clear directive: grow stronger, reach the deepest depths of the Nightmare Realm, and break their seal. The promise of a massive reward is enticing, but the parting advice is much more immediate. Don't you dare die. Once the voice goes entirely silent, Shen Ye is left to contemplate his incredibly bad luck. He has barely just transmigrated, and someone is already actively trying to murder him. He carefully searches the original Shen Ye's memories, but the kid was just a regular middle schooler with no obvious enemies, leaving the origin of the lethal curse a total mystery. Realizing he has absolutely no way to defend himself if the culprit shows up at the hospital, Shen Ye makes a high-stakes decision. He equips his freshly earned polite person title and looks toward the floating door. If he wants a fighting chance, he has to step back into the nightmare realm and see if he can farm more skills and titles, even if it means risking another encounter with the horrors lurking in the dark. Though he has made up his mind, the memory of that giant, terrifying skeleton makes him hesitate. He grabs the door handle, trying to reassure himself. Worst case scenario, he will just run right back through the portal. Then he has a wild, incredibly optimistic idea. What if he doesn't have to fight it? What if he can just talk to it? Shen Ye reasons that communication is the cornerstone of humanity. Since a skeleton is technically just a dead human, they should, in theory, be able to negotiate. If he plays his cards right, maybe he can convince this powerhouse of a monster to act as his personal bodyguard against the unknown enemies coming to kill him in the real world. Plus, with his new polite person title equipped, his chances should be pretty good, right? Shen Ye immediately puts his plan into action. Striking a polite posture, he introduces himself and offers a sincere apology for interrupting the monster's meal earlier. But a ravenous, three-eyed skeletal beast is not easily swayed by basic manners. With a ferocious growl, the creature lunges, its massive claws tearing through the doorway. Shen Ye barely dives out of the way, tumbling back onto his hospital bed just as the skeleton slams against the frame, nearly destroying the portal in its rage. Safely back in his room, Shen Ye realizes his options are severely limited. He can't endlessly farm skills because the system limits him to earning just one title per day. To make matters worse, if the skeleton keeps camp blocking the doorway, he won't be able to safely train tomorrow either. With an assassin potentially on the way to his hospital room at any moment, he doesn't have the luxury of waiting. It is time to ditch the polite act and bring out his real secret weapon, his past life's experience as a top-tier salesman. Reopening the door, Shen Ye steps back in. The skeleton tries to smash him again, but this time, Shen Ye has the dimensional mechanics figured out. By exploiting the threshold, he can slip back and forth between worlds, making it physically impossible for the monster to reach him. With the upper hand, Shen Ye confidently extends his hand to close a new deal. When the unimpressed skeleton turns to walk away, Shen Ye drops his ultimate leverage. He points out that the beast is heavily fractured. Its skull, ribs, and spine are all severely damaged, but its bones slowly regenerate whenever it feeds. He isn't just trying to make a friend anymore. He is about to pitch a business proposition this monster simply can't afford to refuse. Shen Ye goes all in on his pitch. Pulling out his phone, he displays a special offer for calcium tablets, explaining that while he obviously can't let himself be eaten, he can easily supply the beast with modern supplements designed specifically to rebuild bone density. After all, what are friends for? The giant skeleton pauses, seemingly processing the bizarre offer. Suddenly, purple energy crackles through the air. Shen Ye braces for a strike, but instead of an attack, a glowing scroll manifests. It is a formal contract of equal exchange. Scanning the document, Shen Ye is initially intimidated by his partner's grand title, progenitor of shadowed bones, devourer of corpses, defeated lord of the underworld, Mictlantecutli, only to read the fine print and realize the creature is actually just a low-ranking Skull Legion acquisition officer, essentially a glorified skeletal pencil pusher. Still, a deal is a deal. The contract allows Mictlantecutli to regain his strength in exchange for his cooperation. Shen Ye signs his name in glowing blue light, secretly thrilled to see the system officially register him as a big deal, the sole controller of the two realms. With the pact finalized, the scene shifts back to the modern world. Shen Ye is discharged from the hospital and welcomed home by his incredibly doting new parents, who hand him a healthy tonic and the very bottle of calcium tablets he requested for his new partner. Having been an orphan in his previous life, this sudden warmth of family love is deeply moving. But the domestic bliss is abruptly interrupted. A sudden knock at the door reveals two police officers from the East Precinct. They are here to investigate Shen Ye's case, signaling that the dark secrets behind his near-fatal curse are finally catching up to him. The police officers deliver a frustratingly passive response. They essentially tell Shen Ye to accept his near-death experience as a random, unpredictable act of fate, casually dismissing the entire incident as something beyond their control. Externally, Shen Ye plays along, but internally he is furious. He knows the grim reality. The real Shenye didn't just suffer a freak accident, he was brutally murdered by a horrific curse. The older officer prepares to leave, reassuring him that as a simple middle schooler with a normal social life, there is no reason anyone would hold a more grudge against him. It is blindingly obvious to Shenye that the authorities are terrified of the wicked Ghost King curse and prefer to wash their hands of the whole situation. Just as the duo departs, however, the young officer with the prosthetic arm, a highly ranked sergeant named Luo Feichuan, secretly doubles back, breaking protocol. He silently hands Shenye his personal card, telling him to reach out directly if anything feels off. Looking at the name on the card, Shenye is left with mixed feelings. Can he truly trust this Sergeant Luo Feichuan? And even if he can, what can a single officer do when the entire government is too afraid to act? But there is no time to overthink it. Now that word of his survival is out, whoever planted that lethal statue will inevitably come back to finish the job. If they do, his warm, innocent new family will be in extreme danger. Refusing to let the first real family he has ever known be harmed, Shenye reaches out his hand, driven by a desperate need to gain power before it is too late. Determined to get stronger as fast as possible, Shenye summons the door once more and steps back into the nightmare realm, wearing his best professional salesman smile. He cheerfully greets his giant undead business partner, holding out the bag of calcium tablets. But the skeleton's giant finger is not pointing at the pills. It is locked onto the premium health tonic Shenye's father just gave him. Sensing a deal, Shenye offers the tonic instead. In exchange, the skeleton taps into its collection of war spoils, presenting a glowing green gem, a low-tier nightmare crystal crafted by high elves. Without hesitation, Shenye crushes the crystal. A burst of magical green light envelops him as the knowledge of an ancient elven movement technique, Moonlit Deerwalk, is instantly engraved into his mind. This technique allows the user to dash, evade, and sidestep with ease. Thrilled with the successful trade, he tosses the remaining calcium supplements to his partner before stepping back into his bedroom. However, practicing his new skill is not going to be as simple as he hoped. A system prompt informs him that the first form of Moonlit Deerwalk requires 3 agility points, but his current physical stat is only at 2. Before he can even figure out how to raise his agility, a chilling voice whispers from the shadows of his room, "You really are alive. How is that possible, I wonder?" Whirling toward the window, Shenye's heart stops. Hanging upside down against the glass is a terrifying stitched-faced assassin staring directly at him, ready to correct their previous failure. The assassin wastes no time, shattering the window glass and lunging into the bedroom with dual blades. Shenye barely scrambles out of the way, shocked that his enemies have located his home so quickly. In a desperate attempt to defuse the situation, Shenye actually tries activating his polite person title, politely asking the killer if he can help him with anything. Unsurprisingly, the cold-blooded assassin ignores the manners, swiping violently at his neck. Shenye quickly realizes his gray-tier title is far too low-ranking to affect someone actively trying to murder him. Things go from bad to worse when the assassin pulls out a gun, snarling that no amount of fancy dodging will save him from a bullet. Ducking for cover, Shenye's life hangs by a thread. But just in the nick of time, the system drops a crucial piece of information. Titles can actually be consumed to gain permanent status points. Furious that the system did not mention this earlier, Shenye does not hesitate. He immediately sacrifices his polite person title, earning a status point and dumping it straight into agility. His stat rises from 2 to 3, instantly unlocking the elven movement technique, Moonlit Deerwalk. Green energy erupts around him. Activating the technique's first form, evasion, Shenye moves like a slippery, untouchable blur, completely throwing off the assassin's aim. Knowing he still can't win a direct fight, Shenye uses his newfound speed to reach his ultimate escape plan. He summons the floating door, and as the gateway to the nightmare realm materializes, he dives through, with the furious assassin charging right behind him. The assassin pursues Shenye straight through the threshold, fully believing he has cornered his target in some secret passage. He realizes his mistake too late as Shenye bids him a cheerful later and slams the door shut. Before the killer can even turn back, the massive three-eyed skeleton looms from the shadows of the nightmare realm. A single, desperate scream is cut short by a series of sickening, echoing crunches. Just like that, the deadly assassin is turned into monster food. Catching his breath back in his bedroom, Shenye knows his safety is only temporary. More killers are likely on the way. But just as he begins searching for a way to defend himself, the system chimes in with an unexpected jackpot. Because his actions resulted in the sacrifice of a living creature, his skeletal partner is highly pleased. Adhering to the contract of equal exchange, the giant skeleton sends back two green quality rewards, the pale shadow crown and the silver war medal. The crown allows its wearer to disguise themselves as an elf, while the medal acts as a teleportation key directly to elven territory. Chuckling at how quickly his partner has transitioned from predator to pragmatic business partner, Shenye slips the crown onto his head to test it out. With a surge of green magic, the transformation is complete. His hair turns golden blonde, his ears grow elegant points, and he is left staring at a beautiful elven noble in the mirror. He immediately starts planning to use the medal to explore and loot elven territory the very next day. But his celebration is cut short by a heavy knock on his front door. A voice calls out from the hallway, asking if Shenye is home. Still stuck in his conspicuous elven disguise, his blood runs cold. The wave of panic instantly clears when the voice behind the door turns out to be Chen Haoyu, the original Shenye's best friend. Quickly dispelling his elven disguise, Shenye opens the door. Before he can say a word, a tearful Haoyu lunges forward, hugging him tightly. He blames himself for the entire tragedy, believing his friend was dragged into this nightmare solely because of him. As they calm down, Shenye's mother returns. She mentions that his father has gone to ask his grandfather for more super tonics. Haoyu is stunned, explaining that these tonics are incredibly rare, highly prized items that even the wealthy struggle to acquire. It is the first hint that Shenye's family might have some influential connections. But the talk of tonics quickly transitions into the looming threat of the high school entrance exams. Shenye is struck by a major realization. In this world, exams are not purely academic. They test physical stats like strength and agility. This explains why combat techniques like Moonlit Deerwalk require specific stat thresholds. Because of the curse, Shenye already missed the strength test, although his mother gently reassures them that he can still qualify for a decent school by acing the agility exam. Shenye's mind is racing. He is actively being hunted by killers. Walking into a crowded school is like painting a massive target on his back. Sensing his hesitation and stress, his mother pulls him into a warm, protective embrace. She softly tells him that if he wants to skip the exams entirely, that is fine, they only care about his safety. Deeply touched, Shenye hugs her back. Yet as the original Shenye's memories continue to flood his mind, he learns a critical piece of family history. His parents have a highly strained relationship with his grandfather. They chose to live humbly on their own merit rather than begging for family handouts. If he quits now, his parents' quiet pride and independence might be compromised. Determined to stand on his own 2 feet, he flashes a confident smile, assuring his mother that he is much stronger than she thinks. He resolves to attend the exam review sessions the very next day, ready to face whatever threats await him. Knowing his parents swallowed their pride to beg his grandfather for the rare tonic, Shenye feels a deep responsibility. He is determined to make sure their sacrifices are not in vain. Casting aside the heavy thoughts, he cheerfully asks his mom for a late-night snack, sharing a warm, quiet meal with his new family. The next day, Shenye steps into his new school. Looking at textbooks like Body Mechanics and Introduction to Psychic Energy, he realizes this world's curriculum is far from ordinary. Still, a crowded school is a reliable place to lay low from assassins. Plus, getting into an elite high school means surrounding himself with powerful teachers who can offer a shield of protection. His focus is quickly interrupted when he is called into the hallway. Waiting for him is Zhao Yibing, a popular classmate who used to constantly pester him about studying back when he was at the top of the class. Believing Shenye is ruined after missing his first physical test, she has decided to publicly dump him to protect her social standing. With a smug display of fake sympathy, she boasts about her own high scores, claims they are from different worlds now, and dramatically shows him that she has deleted his contact info. But Shenye is not about to let her play the tragic heroine. He calmly flips the script, pointing out the cold truth. She was always the one chasing him, and he never wanted to be her friend in the first place. As the onlookers begin whispering about her blatant opportunism, one of her friends tries to guilt-trip Shenye, claiming he is ungrateful for all the gifts Zhao Yibing gave him. This is where Shenye's past life sales expertise truly shines. Using savage, undeniable logic, he turns the emotional manipulation right back on her. He explains that accepting gifts is not a binding contract to accept her affection and offers to pay her back for every single item. Leaving her crying in her own trap, he warns her to never bother him again, securing a total social victory in front of the entire school. The crowd immediately turns on Shenye, calling him a jerk and a scumbag for embarrassing Yibing. Yibing panics internally. Her plan was to dump him publicly, but now everyone thinks she is the one who got rejected, completely ruining her reputation. She reaches out to stop him from leaving, but a muscular student steps in front of Shenye to block his path. Shenye recognizes him as Sun Ming, the class's number 3 student. Sun Ming aggressively tells Shenye he can't leave until Yibing gives him permission. Shenye just tells him to move because class is about to start. Sun Ming flexes his arm and brags that he got a lot stronger while Shenye was absent. Claiming Shenye is no longer the top student, Sun Ming threatens to break his bones unless he apologizes to Yibing right then and there. Shenye sighs, figuring it's easier to just play along than deal with a fight. He turns back to Yibing and puts on a dramatic act. He forces a fake tear, acts completely heartbroken, and loudly apologizes. He yells out that she wins and tells her to go ahead and keep pestering him if it makes her happy. Shenye then runs off fake sobbing, leaving the entire crowd stunned. The students now think Shenye is genuinely heartbroken and that Yibing is just bullying him. Yibing completely freaks out, realizing his fake apology just made her look like a controlling stalker. She tries to explain herself to the crowd but just gets flustered and blames Sun Ming for ruining everything. Sun Ming gets angry that his plan to look like the good guy is completely ruined. He charges at Shenye, throwing a heavy punch to teach him a lesson. Shenye easily dodges. Activating his Moonlit Deerwalk skill, a green aura surrounds him as he effortlessly flips right over Sun Ming, casually kicking him in the back of the head on his way down. The crowd is completely shocked by his insane speed and agility. They realize Sun Ming didn't even have time to react, and if Shenye had actually put power behind that kick, Sun Ming would be knocked out cold. Landing smoothly on his feet, Shenye keeps up his innocent act, asking what more Sun Ming wants since he already apologized. Before a real fight can break out, a teacher suddenly interrupts, yelling at the crowd to break it up and head to the field because the mock exams are about to start. Not wanting to get scolded, the students quickly scatter and head to the field. As they head to the field, Sun Ming glares at Shenye and warns him that this isn't over. Later, while waiting in a massive line for the physical exams, Shenye is busy stretching. His buddy Haoyu walks up, complaining about the wait, and suggests they sneak off to check out a new comic shop behind the school to kill time. This conversation reminds Shenye that he passed out as soon as his head hit the pillow last night and completely forgot to collect his daily title. Figuring this is the perfect time to grab it, he declines Haoyu's offer. He tells his friend to save his spot in line, faking a stomachache so he can quickly run to the restroom. Shenye walks down an empty hallway and ducks into the bathroom. Just a moment later, a dark figure steps out from hiding in the corridor. It is another assassin tracking him. The shadowy guy pulls out a pen glowing with purple magic and silently creeps into the dark restroom to strike. However, when the assassin steps inside and looks around, he is left completely confused. The bathroom is entirely empty. The assassin looks around the empty stalls, completely confused about where Shenye went since he just saw him walk in. Meanwhile, Shenye has already used his door to enter the dark hallway and is fully equipped with his elf disguise. He calls out for the giant skeleton, but the monster isn't around. As he walks through the dark, he kicks something hard on the ground. He looks down and realizes it is the loaded pistol left behind by the first assassin. Even though he has never used a gun before, he picks it up, glad to have another weapon for defense in the elven territory. Wondering where the skeleton wandered off to, Shenye decides not to wait around and pulls out the silver war medal. He activates it, and a bright blue teleportation circle lights up beneath him. Just as the magic surges, the mysterious voice from his first day in the hospital calls out to him again. Shenye recognizes the voice immediately. The entity tells him it doesn't have much power left to help him anymore. A dark, branch-like object materializes in front of Shenye. The voice refers to the item as a human token. Before Shenye can ask any questions, the teleportation magic flashes, and he disappears from the hallway. Shenye lands in a bright forest, dizzy from the teleportation. He looks down at the human token the mysterious voice gave him and realizes it is actually a dagger. Hearing a rustling noise, he turns just as 3 elves step out of the bushes. They walk right up to him and call him Fern, complaining that he took too long and they almost aborted the mission. Shenye plays along, making a quick excuse about a minor hiccup. He looks closely and notices all 3 of them are wearing the exact same pale shadow crown as him, meaning they are also just imposters. The leader tells him they already earned the local elf tribe's trust by pretending to be injured soldiers returning from the battlefield. He explains their actual plan is to strike tonight, assassinate the chief, and steal all the tribe's treasures. The leader asks if he is ready for the attack. Shenye agrees, acting eager for the loot, and casually reaches up to adjust his crown. Instantly, the other 3 fake elves completely panic and scream at him not to touch it. The fake elves yell at him, calling him an idiot. They warn him that taking off the crown will expose his true identity as an undead and get them all killed. Shenye realizes these 3 are just undead soldiers and that the giant skeleton totally dumped its own mission onto him. The group dashes off toward the elf village. Shenye struggles to keep up with their crazy speed, noting how strong the undead really are. They finally reach the village outskirts at night. The leader tells Shenye that getting inside is easy because of his badge, but the risky part is the assassination. The leader then explains that the three of them will stay outside for cover, leaving Shenye to go in and kill the chief all by himself. Shenye points at himself in shock. The three undead instantly glare at him with glowing eyes, suspiciously asking if he is backing out. Knowing they will kill him on the spot if he says no, Shenye quickly puts on a crazy act. He pulls out his dagger, licks it, and claims he can't wait to taste blood. The undead buy it and back off. Internally, Shenye panics, knowing that assassinating a chief in the middle of an enemy base is basically a suicide mission. The undead call up to the guards on the wall to let their companion in. The elf guards spot Shenye's silver war medallion, assume he is a valiant soldier from the front lines, and open the gates. Realizing he is dead either way, Shenye curses the skeleton for making him take the fall as he walks inside. Shenye walks through the peaceful elf village, passing by locals just going about their daily lives, until he reaches a large building. A guard at the door tells him to go right in, mentioning that the chief is already expecting his arrival. The undead leader stops at the entrance, claiming the three of them will rest and wait for him outside. Shenye knows they are really just standing guard to make sure he doesn't run away. Stepping inside the building, Shenye complains to himself about being dragged into some feud between the undead and the elves. Still, he figures if he can somehow pull this off, he might score a really good title from the system. He walks down a long hallway and enters a dimly lit room with a large stained glass window. Standing in front of the window is a tall elf reading a book, with small blue flames floating nearby. The elf closes the book, turns around, and calmly welcomes the soldier from the front lines, leaving Shenye completely surprised. A system prompt pops up, revealing that his door ability allows him to analyze the titles of other beings. A massive list of glowing purple titles suddenly surrounds the elf chief, including insane ones like Spirit of the Myriad Forests, Grandmaster of Arcane Arts, and one of the 5 world heads. Shenye thinks back to his own broken polite person title and realizes just how naive he was to think he could pull this off. He figures out that the undead outside are way too weak to face this elf, which is exactly why they sent him in as bait. He internally curses the skeleton for setting him up. The elf chief simply thanks him for his service on the front lines and tells him to rest. Before Shenye can even react, blue teleportation magic surrounds him. The chief tells him to go enjoy the celebratory feast, and in a flash, Shenye is teleported straight into a crowded, noisy banquet hall. The 3 disguised undead walk up to him with food and drinks. The leader tells Shenye to eat up and wait, explaining that the chief will join the feast soon. He instructs Shenye to make his move when she lets her guard down and promises that the 3 of them will cover his escape. Shenye immediately sees through the lie, knowing they just plan to use the chaos of his suicide attack to run away. Realizing this is no different from just waiting to die, Shenye tries to think of a way out. While he stresses over his impending doom, a pretty blonde elf girl suddenly walks up to his table. She asks him for a dance, saying it is a great honor to dance with a frontline hero. Shenye awkwardly agrees, admitting he isn't a very good dancer, but she just smiles and offers to lead him to the floor. Shenye dances with the elf girl, internally stressing over his suicide mission, but admitting that under normal circumstances, dancing with her would be great. She notices he is quiet and asks if the trauma from the front lines is bothering him, pointing out that his 3 brothers are also acting completely silent and stiff. Shenye brushes it off, apologizing for his clumsy dancing, and asks her name. She introduces herself as Lanny. Seeing an opportunity to make a move, Shenye offers to perform a magic trick to make up for his bad dancing. Lani loves the idea and hands him her bracelet as an advance reward, playfully warning him she will take it back if the trick isn't impressive. Shenye steps back and shouts to grab the attention of the entire banquet hall. He announces he is going to perform a magic trick they have never seen before called the Great Human Transformation, claiming he can seamlessly turn himself into a human. The elves, including Lani, excitedly cheer for him to show them. Watching from the sidelines, the 3 disguised undead are completely confused. One whispers, wondering if their companion actually knows a transformation spell. The leader just smirks, assuming Shenye is putting on a clever act to blend in with the crowd and create the perfect distraction for their assassination plot. Shenye tells the crowd to watch closely and pulls the pale shadow crown off his head. A green flash surrounds him as he instantly reverts to his true human form in midair. He lands smoothly and playfully tosses the crown to Lanny. The elves go wild, totally amazed by his round ears and different eyebrows, completely buying the magic trick act. Lanny smiles, thanking him for the crown, and asks him to change back now. Instead, Shenye points right at the 3 disguised undead standing on the sidelines. He explains that his transformation happened just by taking off the crown, but if his 3 brothers take off theirs, they will transform into undead. The entire banquet hall freezes at the word undead. The elf guards instantly go on high alert, surrounding the three panicked imposters with their spears. Taking full advantage of the massive distraction, Shen Ye quietly summons his magical door right behind him. He casually waves goodbye to Lanny, joking that he'll be right back after his brothers transform, and falls backward through the doorway. The elves rush forward to grab him, but the door completely vanishes into thin air, leaving them stunned by the impossible escape. Dropping her innocent act, Lanny's eyes narrow as she instantly orders the guards to capture the three undead. Before the fake elves can even draw their weapons, thick magical vines shoot out of the floor and tightly bind them all. Back in the banquet hall, the elf chief steps up to the trapped spies. He points out the irony that the undead tried to infiltrate his village, only for a human to infiltrate their group and ruin the entire mission. One of the spies tries to play dumb by mentioning their fake badges, but the magic vines knock off his crown, instantly revealing his hideous monster form. The chief picks up the crown and notes it uses high-level shadow magic. This is a massive win for the elves, as they finally know how the undead have been sneaking into their villages and can now develop a countermeasure. The chief admits he owes the human a debt, while Lanny just stares at the empty space, realizing Shen Ye isn't coming back. Meanwhile, Shen Ye safely lands back in the dark hallway of the Nightmare Realm. He notes that his door actually changed its appearance to blend in with the elf village, realizing just how risky his escape really was. He then spots the giant skeleton casually eating nearby. Furious, Shen Yi marches over and yells at the monster for having a feast while he was out risking his life in elven territory. The skeleton is completely shocked and speaks human language for the first time, asking how Shen Ye is still alive. Surprised it can talk, Shen Ye immediately accuses the monster of giving him the crown on purpose to send him on a suicide mission. The skeleton demands to know how he survived and promises to pay a fair price for the details. Shen Ye refuses, stating he holds grudges and almost died. A system prompt suddenly appears, showing the skeleton is offering a powerful undead spell in exchange for the story. Shen Ye takes one look at the glowing scroll, completely rejects it, and yells at the monster, asking if it really thinks it can buy him off with just that, claiming the low offer is an insult to his character. The skeleton sighs and explains it only gave Shen Ye the crown because humans and elves are allies. If it had gone into the village in its true form, it would have been killed instantly. Wanting to make amends and finally hear the story, it decides to exceed the equal exchange contract and gifts Shen Yi a legacy nightmare crystal. It's an incredibly precious artifact that contains 3 top-tier evolutionary undead talents. The skeleton reveals its enemies actually kept it alive just to get their hands on this specific crystal, and now it wants to give it to a human just to spite them. Shen Ye eagerly accepts the apology and takes the crystal. His mind is instantly transported to a dark void where a massive, ancient skeletal monarch sits on a throne. 3 glowing orbs appear before him, each representing a different evolutionary talent. The first is Dark Whispers, allowing him to speak with the dead. The second is Sacred Remains Body, giving him 5 seconds of temporary invincibility from fatal damage once a day. The third is Undead Resurrection, a fundamental spell that can revive the dead. Shen Ye analyzes his options. He realizes Undead Resurrection is useless to him right now, and while 5 seconds of invincibility sounds great, he'd still likely die right after it wears off. He decides Dark Whispers is exactly what he needs to quickly gather information and figure out who keeps sending assassins after him. He chooses the first orb and crushes it, absorbing the green energy. Back in the hallway, the skeleton is surprised by his choice, noting that past undead monarchs usually chose the resurrection or invincibility talents. Shen Ye shrugs it off, happy with his new ability to sense the whispers of the dead. Now that they are even, Shen Ye finally tells the skeleton exactly what happened in the elf village, including how he used his door to escape right after exposing the 3 undead spies. The skeleton listens intently, realizing the original assassination target was supposed to be a female elven priestess. The skeleton reveals that the chief Shen Ye just met is actually the high priest of the elven race. Shen Ye is relieved he didn't try to assassinate him, noting that his incredibly long list of titles makes total sense now. He also realizes that since the 3 undead knights were captured by the elves, they can no longer monitor him. Seeing this as his only chance to escape their constant watch, Shen Ye turns toward the door. The skeleton asks where he is going, but Shen Ye ignores him and steps back into his school hallway. As he steps through the door, the system notifies him that he has earned a new daily evaluation title, One of Us. It's an excellent quality green title that gives him a powerful buff. Once a day, if he tells a target, "Hey, I'm one of us," they will genuinely regard him as one of their own for 10 seconds, after which they forget everything that just happened. The only catch is that the target's total attributes cannot exceed twice his own. Shen Ye smiles, finding this title incredibly useful. The system then chimes in again, alerting him that he obtained the Bracelet of Natural Blessing. He realizes it's the bracelet Lani gave him during the magic trick. and it's actually an excellent quality green accessory that slowly increases his spiritual power. Thrilled with his huge haul of a green title, a green bracelet, a new talent, a short sword, and a loaded pistol, Shenye quickly hides everything and heads back to the mock exams. Out on the field, the agility test is underway. It involves dodging purple paintballs shot from holes in the ground. His friend Haoyu tries to show off while dodging but gets hit square in the face with a paintball, scoring a mediocre 71 points. The teacher then calls Shenye's name. Shenye steps onto the course, completely relaxed. The moment the test starts, he effortlessly glides through the obstacles. He moves so fast that the paintballs can't even keep up with his speed. The crowd is amazed, noting he looks like he's ice skating and seems much faster since his hospital stay. Shenye thinks to himself that with all his recent combat experience dodging real assassins and monsters, this simple test is incredibly easy, requiring only a fraction of his moonlit deerwalk skill.